Good morning. You're watching Qtv This Morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. It's good to be back again on this platform. So wherever you are, I didn't know they asked me to roll. Do you know that? Yeah. And you've realized that? I didn't know that. Thank you very much. This is the Thursday edition, wherever you are. Thanks for always following. I mean, I keep receiving messages that, they follow our programs, all over the world. I mean, sometimes they mention places that you don't even know, and for the first time you're hearing these places too. Yeah, so we have Mr. Ade Drame as our co-host. Good morning, Mr. Ade.
Good morning, Mr. Balde. And just to pick up on what you just said, yesterday I had said I was going to try and check with NASA whether the people on the Artemis mission were also tuning in, because we said we have people from all over the world.
Of course.
And so we've had people who even took off from,
Pluto,
the Earth's, atmosphere and went into space. And who knows? They may have been tuning in.
They might be watching. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. I certainly don't know, but I haven't been able to find out as yet.
So Mr. Malika is our newspaper review guest, and of course, this is the day we are having him on the program for this week.
Yes, indeed. Have you not been on this week at all, Mr. Khan?
No.
Oh, dear. I think you've been quite busy this week, haven't you?
Definitely.
Yeah. So the program rundown, we'll take a look at the African Code, then the 30th anniversary of the Cuban Medical Brigade in the Gambia.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so we'll be talking to the ambassador of the Republic of Cuba, and of course a general surgeon as well, Dr. Ahmed.
Dr. Ahmed
Guterres, yes. So, launch of National Center on Information and Disinformation. We'll be talking to Communication Officer, Minister of Information, and Consultant National Misinformation and Disinformation Response Center, Hadigay. So they'll be on the program. So let's delve and take a look at the code. Mr. Adedrame, please.
The hunter who chases two antelopes catches none.
As just a greedy person, if you're greedy, you end up having nothing. So it's best to be focused on things rather than, being greedy. Trying to pursue two things at the same time, you end up, with none. So it's always good.
There's a phrase, don't spread yourself too thin.
Yes.
I think Malik nailed it there, because you're absolutely right. If you're greedy and you see two equally good things, you're like, oh, I want to catch both. But, one's running there, one's running there. You can't catch both. Yeah. So concentrate on one and see whether you can.
I think this proverb came about because, in olden days, they go for hunting. So you see rabbits, for instance, and then you want to
catch all of them.
And how fast rabbits are in the forest, and in the bushes. So they can easily, duck and dive and then hide in somewhere that you end up losing none, or they just get into their burrow,
I can remember 10, 15, 17 years ago, a community that we've never expected to see a squirrel. You understand?
Squirrel.
Yes, and it appeared suddenly from the blues.
From out of the blue. Really?
The whole community chased it.
What community is that? That's not in Gambia.
It's in the Gambia. Yes.
Squirrels are all over.
In Lamen. But we expect to see them maybe in a bushy area,
but not in
maybe
a built-up area.
in a populated that type of a setup. So the whole community chased it that day.
It's one morning about 5 years ago, I was driving. And I was driving over that bridge by Manjai, and I saw this huge crowd. And I was thinking, what's going on here? And so Abdul Sise was in the car with me, and he looked, and it was a turtle. And some of them had never seen a turtle before, and so there was this huge excitement about that.
And it's funny as well, having said that, in the center of London, sometimes at midnight or late after, central London is very busy during the day, but in the evenings, very late, it tend, especially around Liverpool Street area, you tend to see foxes, they come around, and you're like, wow, in the middle of London, you see foxes running around. It's quite strange, but
it's very strange.
You do find them.
Because if people know Yeah,
if you have animals just popping
out of kind of because. Well, on our proverb, I think essentially we've kind of dealt with it really, but it's about being if you have an ambition and you want to go after something, don't try and go after everything. Go after that which is achievable, and the likelihood is you'll achieve it. But if you're trying to do 10 things at the same time, you end up doing 10 things very badly, as opposed to one thing very well. So
that's what they say: jack of all trades and master of none.
Quite.
So rather than wanting to be a carpenter, a mason, just accomplish one and then do the other. If you want to do all of them at the same time, you would be able to do it, but it's not going to be perfect. So it's not going to come out.
So what happened to the saying, kill two birds with one stone?
Yeah,
that's a different.
It's kind of
that is just about chances, and the chances,
an opportunity comes
very slim, and then you're able to do that. It can happen, but very slim chances. But if an opportunity is there and you can get both of them at the same time, you might as well just do it at the same time and then accomplish.
Yeah, so it's telling you to focus on, achieving, a particular mission.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the time, when you put extra effort and energy into one thing, you will be productive at the end of the time.
Indeed.
So it's better than investing your energy into so many things at the end of the time with little output, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these proverbs, as we've said many times, they make us think and they make us kind of go beyond the literal sense of what it's about. So it's not literally just about chasing antelopes. It's about chasing your dreams and having focus. Really,
yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. So this is QTV This Morning. Viewers, will take a short break. And the other time I met up with a lady, an old lady. She said to me, "I watch your program in the morning. Why do I ham lolen dewa?" That's what she said to me. But I do watch the program. I follow it. But I don't understand what you people, normally the language you speak, that's English language. So I said we'll try to at least
because occasionally we will have a guest here and we will ask them, or can you say some, can you explain to the viewers in Wolof or Mandinka and so on. So they're occasional, but yeah, it's interesting because somebody stopped me about 2 weeks ago and said he watches the Week in Review, and he said, I watch with my father who doesn't understand a word of English, but my father never misses the program, which was kind of quite amusing, to me. But we're grateful, of course,
Yeah, so we'll take a short break. After the break, we'll take a look at the stories on the papers. We'll be back. Welcome back. This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Let's move on. We have the Observer 24 here already. And the main headline, government issues strong response to SEPRA's survey, cites economic progress. And we have the main picture of the president in front of the paper. So we've recently seen SEPRA's, doing a lot of reports on what people think sometimes, trying to put certain things forward. So the government is responding to their survey, Mr.
Naturally, polls are usually very controversial. They're not subjective, but they are especially in a period where, it's an election period, they will contest a lot of the things if those in favor. And it depends, what you get out of it, what are the main takeaways, and how do they affect or impact, the narrative that you want to project. If the government is convinced that there is economic progress, they are registering a lot of development in certain areas, and then contrary to that, you have a report that is indicating otherwise. You expect them to come out, in full force and say, well, hey, look at it, look at the facts, look at this A, B, C, and D. But that is their role also to come and challenge. SEPRAS also will be insistent that their methodology and their approach is very scientific, and therefore they are convinced. But they're not always right. There are certain instances where because of the variations and the variability that is applicable, that it can be wrong, but there is always an error of margin, so it's not that significant, usually -5 +5, you know.
Well, I mean, this is a survey. I mean, it doesn't mean it has to be accurate 100%, you know. Yes.
And surveys like this, they're about perceptions rather than, you know, they also say that, you know, somebody's perception is their reality. But if the police are issuing weekly and monthly statistics saying that crime is down, but every time somebody tells you, oh, they stole my friend's mobile phone, they think crime is up. They think crime is rampant. I had a discussion with some people on Facebook because they were saying, oh, if only, you know, we had the kind of low crime rate they had in Senegal. And I said, whatever statistic you take, percentage-wise, the crime is worse in Senegal than here.
Absolutely.
But they have this nonsensical idea that somehow things are better in Senegal. So these polls are about perception. You know, things improve, and yet the reason the government have come out in such force, as Malik says, is because things to do with the economy, even when the bank is saying that inflation hasn't risen much or has gone down, people are still telling you that, oh, you know, I don't feel it. And so it's about that sort of thing. And you always have to take, I mean, just before we came on, I was looking at the polls 2 weeks before the last US presidential election. And several of them actually said it would be too close to call between Kamala Harris and Trump. It wasn't. It was a massacre. He absolutely thrashed her in the polls, you know, and they got it spectacularly wrong. So, you know, but as I said, it's about people's perceptions.
Yeah, it's important also to have organizations like CEPRAS, I mean, to put certain things into check. I mean, these are organizations that will put governments you know, to the right place sometimes, Mr.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, and CEPRAS have proven to have credibility as well, because there are certain surveys that they did put out. People challenge it, and then it came to be true, factual. So, like I said, you know, statistics, you know, is very scientific these days. The data analysis and the tools that they are applying now is very advanced, the methodology and all that. So sometimes it's always good. You can deny it in the public domain, but behind the scenes, work on your strategy and your tactic in order to reverse the perception. One could understand the global index in terms of economic output and outreach is clearly demonstrating that it's challenging to almost every country. Yeah. So naturally, people would tend to have that feeling or perception that there are certain aspects, especially when it comes to livelihood, that you know, their performance is very, very low for most you know, areas that you would be challenging.
Yeah. So I mean, let's still move on. Gambia envoy. I mean, Jobate presents credentials to Serbian president. I'm
not sure there's much of a story there.
Yeah.
Please.
So
you know, Serbia.
What I'm trying to put across here. What kind of a relation do we have with
Serbia?
With Serbia,
Gambia is expanding its outreach in terms of, you know, global presence. Yeah. You know, during the Jammeh period, remember, most of we were more like a pariah state. But now that, you know, there is cordial relationship with many of the countries, I think they're taking the opportunity, and it's important, especially in this phase or period when, you know, there are a lot of global challenges. The more friends you have, the more you can leverage and access certain resources that they have, you know. So it's good to expand it, but also that goes with economic cost as well. Yeah. If we are opening an embassy, it comes with, you know, staffing and all these things. So they have to be very creative and structured in terms of priorities, what they need to apply.
I mean, I would be surprised if we had an actual embassy in Serbia. Yeah. I mean, Serbia is one of those countries that became a country after the breakup of Yugoslavia. After Marshal Tito died, Yugoslavia effectively broke up. You have Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, you have Serbia, you know, all these countries kind of emerged out of that. He's probably accredited to Serbia and some other country, possibly Croatia, whoever. So, but yes, it's interesting because I would doubt whether we would have a specific embassy just in Serbia.
I mean, few weeks back or a month, some of our colleagues were in Cameroon, and you can see how some of the Gambian descendants in Cameroon, you know, want the Gambia government to you know, come to their aid on certain things.
And have an embassy there, because they were surprised we didn't have
yes,
one.
I've realized the embassy representing Cameroon is in Nigeria.
Yeah, which
and
is
even the one in Nigeria, it's not enough for the people, for Gambians in Nigeria. So I think
within the Commonwealth, they do that. Even within the EU, sometimes you can have the EU representing the interests of another country. To be factual, we are not great in numbers. If you go outside, Gambians are almost non-present or non-existent in relative terms. So to go about opening embassies because you have a handful of people advocate, I think the government have a strategy and an approach, observe what do we need, what do we get from certain areas, what do we need to leverage, and they see if it is necessary or important.
Yeah,
I mean, they can have an embassy there.
Yeah, I mean, the one in Cameroon, it makes sense to have it in Nigeria because if you look at the map of Africa, effectively Central Africa starts with Cameroon, and, you know, it has a border with Nigeria, of course, and so...
Just take Senegal, for instance. Most of the embassies, you know, that deal with Gambia are located in Dakar. So, you know, they just tend to cross. It's just across the border. You come and give them, you know, services that is required in terms of...
So let's take a look at security. Gambia Armed Forces welcomes lieutenants from Turkey training.
Lieutenants.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that has been ongoing for quite a long time. Gambia, Turkey, you know, relationship, especially when it comes to the military side of it. As long as I remember, since the inception, creation of the Gambia Armed Forces, they've been going to Turkey and being trained. Turkey, of course, you know, that is a global power. So if we are going to have some exchanges and training that is welcoming, it can only add, you know, to the quality of, you know, our armed forces.
I heartily agree. I mean, we did a couple of stories where members from our armed forces went to Turkey, and amongst other things, they learned the language, and they came back, you know, and after 6-7 months, they were fluent in Turkish, which, you know, I met one of them. I was quite impressed. But as Malik says, on a global stage, Turkey is a very significant military power, and to have that kind of relationship where, and we have excellent relations with Turkey, you know, as you very well know, having been there yourself.
Bagwe tragedy leaves mother of 6 struggling to survive. On the Point newspaper, a woman on the front newspaper.
Yeah, I saw the headline, but I don't know what it's referring to.
A mother of 6, probably.
They all perished, or what is the circumstance?
A mother of 6 struggling to survive. Probably the breadwinner of the family left.
Went back way, possibly.
Like
it's a
said,
difficult one.
there is hardly any clarity.
There's no clarity from the headline alone.
We delve into the...
All
right, so let's move on. You have the other paper there, Mr.
Yes, so I have the Standard, and there's an interesting one. It says, Gambian judge to serve at ECOWAS court for the first time. So if people had been watching this show from the beginning of this month, this week I should say, we've had people from the ECOWAS court here on a kind of sensitization mission, and I'm smiling because one of the reasons they're here is because Gambia has a very poor record of enforcing ECOWAS court decisions. So they're here and today they're meeting lawyers. Yesterday they met ministers, National Assembly members, and members of civil society to say, look, you know, you have a role to play as well. And now there's actually going to be, you know, a judge from the Gambia sitting on the court. The court's president is now Cabo Verdean, and they also have a poor record when it comes to enforcing. So people were criticizing, how can you have the president of the court from a country that, you know, famously or infamously didn't enforce some court judgment. So they have a real job on their hands.
I think this stage is about time that the international instruments or accords or agreements that they enter into are legally binding.
These protocols,
and therefore, they must have to respect it. Otherwise, the institutions would fail. And where institutions paralyze, then there is no need for the existence of the ECOWAS, especially when it comes to the legal, because that is the last recourse where you go and seek, any remedy if you have exhausted all avenues within your own member state country. You have to exhaust, within the jurisdiction and then migrate to the ECOWAS court. So if they give any verdict on anything, it should be upheld and respected.
And to pick up what Malik says, yesterday on the news item we carried, one of the lawyers who went to visit the president said, this is the final court. The judgments are legally binding and non-appealable. You can't take it to any other higher court beyond the ECOWAS court once you have signed up to the protocol. And they are annoyed that these countries, some of them have signed up to the protocol and yet they are not enforcing these judgments. I gave an example here of Sierra Leone when Vice President was sacked, took it to the ECOWAS court. They said it should be reinstated. They said it should be given $2.5 million in compensation, none of which happened.
And they didn't respect the verdict.
The verdict was not enforced. Yeah. So they're quite annoyed, and this sensitization is a part of that. They actually started in Nigeria with this sort of tour that they're on. Because Nigeria also had not enforced some of the.
Well, Mr. Adedrawi,
there has to be the political.
The other day when I spoke to them on the program, I asked them. So I mean, what next if all these verdicts are not respected? What is the court going to do about it?
And as they said to you at the time, there's very little they can do apart from saying to these countries, you signed up saying you would respect it, live up to what you signed up to. That's all they can say. Because there's no sanction.
Levy hefty penalties on them because if you refuse to, maybe that would encourage compliance, because these are legal things, instruments that you have signed. Like Ade pointed out, and when a country sign and enter into such a legally binding agreement, they supersede all the other laws within that country. That is why you have to incorporate it, domesticate it into your own legal structure.
And we've mentioned about the Gambian judge for the first time being appointed to the court, and that resonates with what was said here. They didn't name the country, but they said there was one country where a judge was meant to have been appointed, and they had already selected that judge. And then people pointed out, but hang on a minute, this judge is from a country that barely has enforced any judgments of the court. How could this person then sit on the court with a clear conscience? And so they rejected that person's appointment. And so that is one sanction that they have. If you want somebody from your country to sit on the court, well, respect the judgments of the court and enforce them.
I felt the ECOWAS court, doesn't have, it doesn't bite. That's what I think, Mr.
No. It's what we're saying here. It can only bite if there's political will, as Malik says. There has to be political will in terms of enforcing the judgment.
And that's the problem.
You can't not respect the judgments and then say, I still believe in the court. You either do or you don't. So, but it will take time. But maybe slowly we're getting there.
Do you have anything on Macky Sall there?
Yeah.
I was going to mention,
okay.
I was going to mention Macky Sall because I've been watching the various people who are going for the UN Secretary General position, and they've been facing a panel. First of all, they face a panel, and then they face some journalists who are in the audience, and they have to answer questions from them. Macky Sall had his turn.
I think that's a few days back.
Well, yeah,
I saw that on the paper yesterday.
Well, there was one where he faced just journalists.
Yeah,
but yesterday was when he sat in front of the actual panel, at 7 o'clock last night. So most of them.
Well, I think Macky Sall, during his tenure as president in Senegal, he also did a lot of things. He implemented a lot of projects, and he is one of the presidents that changed the face of Senegal, apart from Abdoulaye Wade. And all these things, they also count, Mr. Ka.
They do, but it's a very controversial figure as well at the same time.
I was going to say.
Because the PASTEF, the governing or the ruling party,
the now governing coalition.
They did not support his candidature.
Exactly.
But nonetheless, they don't have to. A country can normally nominate. I think it was
other countries.
Rwanda that nominated him. I think he have a lot of clout. He comes with a lot of experience. Naturally, his CV is very evident
got a good
that
CV.
Yeah, but at that level, all those people are people that have accomplished a lot. So he needs a lot of support.
Bachelet was
yeah,
one
but
of them.
he came across quite well. Macky is very composed. And
he did, but I think
what you have the protests as well. I don't know in New York.
Yeah,
the Senegalese.
Yeah, so I think what will count against him, I would be surprised if he got it, and the reason is that as Malik says, he was facing some very high caliber people, but I think several things count against him. One, his own country is not in support. Two, they're threatening to prosecute him for various things. And you don't want somebody who's Secretary General facing possible prosecution by their own countries. That is not a good look. And then, thirdly, we've never had a woman in the position, and there's a very strong female candidate. Okay. And I suspect she might get it. But, don't quote me on that.
Yeah. So let's move on. PDOIS warns registration of non-Gambians threat to election integrity.
I think this issue of attestation will create a lot of problems this upcoming election. The government or stakeholders should look to see into the future that they stop all this issue of attestation, because a lot of political parties are latching onto it, saying that people are misusing it. In this day and age, I don't see anybody that is born in the Gambia do not come into contact with a nurse or a primary health care post or a hospital. So naturally, one that is born within this jurisdiction should be able to have a birth certificate, at the very minimum. And that should indicate, the origin of mom and dad. So that will testify whether you would be eligible, rather than just going to the IEC, they give you a piece of paper, you go to an alcalo to sign for you and attest. People are challenging these things, and then it will start generating a lot of controversy and doubt in the whole integrity of the whole process and the system. And we want a very clean and
I mean, when I hear this, my eyes always roll, because we hear it all the time, and I've heard it ever since I moved to the Gambia. We live in a country where if I wanted to even get a mobile phone, a SIM card, and register, I need an ID card. Many countries you don't need that, but in the Gambia you do. And yet we have people who are supposedly 18, 19, 20, they needing to be accompanied by somebody from a political party to go and register with their birth certificates, sometimes fake birth certificates. It's embarrassing. In 2026, we should not be having this conversation at all, as Malik rightly says. But that's where we are. It's just it really is a nonsense that we're still talking about attestation in 2026.
And they are all benefiting from it, whether it is the ruling party or the opposition. They have to come to an agreement that these attestations must be phased out, so that it's gone. Because anybody born within the jurisdiction of the Gambia should be able to have a nursing document from the day you are born. Even at the village level, they should insist that you should meet a nurse, be registered, so there will be some kind of record that is there. You cannot come, like I said, 18, 19, and then go to Alcalo for an attestation. What kind of thing is that? That is undermining the integrity.
Thank you, Mr. Carr, for talking to us on QTV this morning. And now we'll take a short break. After the break, the program continues. We'll be back. We are back. This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Launch of National Center on Misinformation and Disinformation. We have Amran Gay, Consultant National Misinformation and Disinformation Response Center. Amran, it's good to have you.
Thank you.
This is a very significant topic.
Yeah.
As you know, the generation of mobile phones, internet, misinformation, disinformation. So setting up a center where certain things will be verified and gazetted well, I mean, it's very significant. So it's good to have you on QTV this morning.
Thank you for having me. Yes. So I guess start with the introduction.
Please, yes. Why do we need a center? How did it come into being?
Exactly.
Yeah, please.
So I'm a computer scientist by trade, and I studied in the US, and then I worked at a bunch of places, including Google, which was the last one.
Okay.
So I learned a lot at Google about big systems and how they run and information, because you have like 2 billion people visiting Google properties every single day, right? So that's a huge thing. So I decided to come back and try out those AI technologies here. Because when people hear about AI, they think really advanced countries, you know, who afford like big data centers. But we can use it in a lot of little ways. Things like translation into our native languages, helping us with healthcare, our education system, all of that, right? So it's an amazing new technology that we all, I'm sure you have all been on. Like
well, not only have we, I mean, we went to the university and almost every university student told us that they now get ChatGPT to write their essays for them. So unfortunately, there's a downside of that.
Is a downside. So I was coming to that. That's actually a very, let's say, low version of misinformation. Yes, because you're representing. Now, let's make the distinction. So misinformation is false information that you forward without knowing that it's false. Disinformation is when you actually sit down, make fake information actively. Exactly. So misinformation is passive and disinformation is active, right? So I came back, I started the AI company. I started working on it. I did, I did two things. I have a business and then I have a foundation. So with the business, I do contracts. With the foundation, I do things pro bono for Gambia. Yeah, so that has included a digital center at the National Library. That has included things like donations to the youth prison wing, to the, and I've also done, so now I believe our journalists, I feel like we need protection against a future dictatorship. We all saw what happened last time. And one way that it happened was persecution of journalists, because you guys are the ones who actually give us a window into what the government is doing with our tax money. So there's always this adversarial relationship, because the state wants to hold as much information as possible. You guys want to reveal as much information as possible, right? So to that end, I thought that I should come up with some things that should at least try and help the press to move in the direction of being able to protect themselves for the next time we have a tyrant in charge, right? So I did some AI training with GPU. I did that twice, the Gambia Press Union. I did some safety training for online journalists, like the female ones, the Gambian ones, because they're the ones who get the most harassed and stuff online. And I did all of this for free. I reached out to them, I spoke to them. Now, misinformation, I think you have seen in the most spectacular example is America, right? What happened with Russia, all the misinformation, like the one spread by Trump himself, all of that. And that has led to this situation in the States where you have extremes. You don't have any centrists anymore. You're either completely on the right, completely on the left. You're MAGA or you're... and that's just, they're the oldest democracy in the world. And yet, right now, they're facing these huge challenges because of misinformation. Right? So when you come to Gambia, we all forward things on WhatsApp. We all get things all the time. And you can't verify. You can't sit down and every single message you go and check. So we just spread it, right? And once it's been forwarded once, you don't know the source. So it can spread across all the groups and stuff. So it's not possible to stop misinformation at the source, because it's impossible to go back unless you tap into every single Gambian's phone, check every single message, which is practically impossible, right? Now, misinformation is a problem, not just because it gives people false information, but because it adds cracks to the foundation of truth upon which we must build our democracy. So a democracy and a society only works if we all have a consensual agreement about what the truth is, right? So for a simple example, you have a message from the president, and it's a video, and he's saying something. Now, traditionally, we could all assume and take in good faith that that video is actually someone with a camera, and it's actually the president. But that was before AI, right?
Before AI,
so
before
once
deep fake.
Exactly. So once we all agree on a particular truth, then everyone can have their political opinion. So the president said this, he did say it, and now, you know, you can criticize it, you can agree with it, but we need that foundation of truth. But with AI, what you can do is you can come up with something that you want the president to say, and then create an AI representation of the president to sit down and say it. And then this gets forwarded everywhere.
Well, we see it most with Ibrahim Traore.
Wow. He's the master of... and you see how that ended up. He's pulled off a full dictatorship and stuff.
Sure.
So once we start fracturing the truth, we are all not operating from the same place. So we can't have a democracy, because we have to agree on the basic truth and then move on from that, right? But with AI, it lets you create your own truth. So I could make an AI of this with me saying completely different things to what I'm saying now, maybe criticizing the government, saying untrue things, saying really harsh things, and it's not me.
Yeah,
but by the time that video is out with Gambians, by nightfall, I'll be like all over the internet.
So I want to know,
yes.
because I'm getting, I mean, a taste of Fact Check Gambia.
Yes.
How different is your, I mean, center with Fact Check Gambia?
Yeah, and we've been told this is the government is launching this.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's
okay.
Correct. Okay, but that also requires some clarification. Anyway, let me talk about the genesis, and then I'll come to you, and then I'll come to you. Yes. So that has really worried me. We have already started seeing deepfakes, and this is not just at a political level. We're talking about Gambia's personal safety, because they're using it to blackmail. They make these videos, these adult videos of people who are not, and they can do that just from grabbing your Facebook details or from you on YouTube, right? Yeah. So, because a lot of people here, they think AI is just you type a prompt, you get a response, you copy it, you paste it, but it's so much more than that. It's way more than that. It's way more than that. So that gave me some fear, that gave me some alarm, that we're facing this and our people are not ready for it. And not just in terms of being able to prevent it, but even education. A lot of Gambians don't know AI can do those things, right? So if you don't know that that's possible, you're still going to take everything for granted. So I thought about it for a while, then I approached the Honorable Dr. Sise. So I spoke to him, I gave him and he was as alarmed as I was when I pointed out what was going on. So he invited me a couple of times, we had a conversation, and then we came up with a concept note. So what we decided to do was, in addition to education, which again I'll come to in a bit, which is a part of the project, because what's happening is people are just concentrating on the misinformation center, but it's only one component of a much larger project, right? So I spoke to him, we came up with a concept note where we would come up with a WhatsApp hotline and a web interface, where people can go in, submit misinformation, and then it will tell them whether it's true or not. Yeah. So now we also realize that if we just build an English misinformation center, it's not serving the majority of Gambians, because the majority of Gambians are uneducated. So we made sure that right from the start, it supports the native languages. You can send in stuff there and it will send back. And also, in addition to the center.
So when you say send in stuff, this will be mostly
videos or voice?
Voice.
Videos,
because most of our local languages, we don't have them standardized in written form.
Right.
But so English we do.
So we do all of them. And then English, Arabic, Spanish, like all the international languages as well, because the AI can understand them. So apart from the center, we decided to also do community engagement. We're also working on some short videos, which will be in English, but also in Wolof, Mandinka, Fula, Sarahule. So we have all of those for the public. So you can watch it without all the technical stuff. We just explain it at your level so that you can guide yourself, right? So to come back to the fact check, this is in fact a national fact check system. Now let me just specify that after we wrote the concept note, my company actually developed a prototype even before we got any funding. Yes, just to see what it would look like and to be able to show. So once we did that and it worked out, that's when we came up with a concept note which we sent to ECOWAS. And you know, ECOWAS, they don't just give money, they have to review every single thing. So they reviewed, they were very impressed by it, they agreed to fund it. So this is completely...
You took the words, I was going to say who's funding it.
Yeah, so it's completely funded by ECOWAS. So they paid for everything. Now, for the fact checking, first of all, this is not an enforcement body. The way it's being presented, like government will use it for censorship, it's impossible with the platform, because a platform that doesn't save any details of anyone who submits anything, how are you going to trace back to them, right? So it's they're thinking of it as an active weapon that the government will use, when in fact it's a defensive weapon for all Gambians, so it can protect us, right? So to that end, we decided to make this as open as possible. So that, because what we need for the center to work is for the Gambian people to trust the government. Now, trust is earned. It's not something that we should just take, okay, the government said this, so we'll take it for granted. So what we did instead was to create some kind of oversight body, where we bring in the fact checkers, we bring in the journalists, we bring in CSOs. They all give us feedback on what we're building. If they have any concerns, we change them, any of that, right? Because with the fact checking, They're doing a good job, but the problem right now is lack of resources. Because you have maybe 5 fact checkers, and every time something happens, they have to go out, do the investigation, figure out. So that takes time.
So this one is much faster.
This one is much faster because it's AI. So it's giving them, it's actually an extra tool in there, because the fact checkers here don't have the budget to build these huge AI systems, right? That's why we needed funding from ECOWAS. So what government is doing here, what we are doing, is creating some kind of national overall fact-checking tool, and it takes into account every single thing, including other fact-checkers. And what we expect is that any fact-checker can now go in and use this for free. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on AI and just use that to verify your work. So we invited them all in to sit down and give us their feedback. Unfortunately, none of them came. They refused the meeting.
None of the
CSOs, the fact checkers,
because they thought it was government.
Yes, I guess it was related to.
I hope they're listening.
Yes, I hope so too, because that's very unfortunate. And I think it's also unfair to government to go out and start criticizing something that you don't understand. Because government went out of their way. You know how governments in Africa work. This is an election year. This misinformation center, it will fact check everyone. Even myself, after this show, you go and put me there, it will tell you. Members of cabinet, the president, any other civil servants, anyone says anything, go there and check it, right? So they would have understood that more if they had actually sitting down with us. We set up a meeting at the ministry. I had the full demo to show them, and then we would spend like an hour or whatever going through their questions and taking them into consideration. So that's the best we can do, because you can't force oversight. We can't just create the thing, say, okay, we're choosing this person and this person will bring them on. You can't do that. Oversight is not something that you just tack on at the end. It's a continuing process.
So, I mean, is the center going to work with journalists? And if yes, how are they going to do that?
Yes, so in our oversight plan, what happens is, first of all, for accountability, the AI has something called an audit trail. You all know about audits and trails, right? But in real life audits, you can remove some papers, manipulate stuff, you know, all of that. But with the AI, it uses this system where once you put something there that it happened, no one can remove it. Not even us, the builders, can go in and remove it, right? So that's where it goes from. So for our oversight, we wanted to invite the journalists, because what we want to do is give them access to the platform themselves. So they can use it. Again, completely advisory. The government is not mandating anything. This is a free service. If you want to use it, you can use it. If you want to ignore it, ignore it. There are no repercussions or anything, right? So this was supposed to be a tool where they can go in and check stuff before they publish it. And it's very fast, so it won't, you know, they don't have to call government officials. They can go straight to the...
It saves people like me
the
time, because I'll give you a very quick example. Just yesterday, we ran a story on the National Assembly member who was supposedly arrested, detained over the fact that he was trying to register people who were underage. Now, I insisted that I had seen nothing. The debate in the team was that he was arrested, he was detained overnight and so on. I said, this guy put out a very, very long statement about what happened to him. Not once does he mention that he was detained overnight. Why do you want to include that in the story? You know, so people like me don't have to do that fact-checking. They can go there and say, you know, this happened. So,
but so it saves you time. It puts us all on the same page. And like I said, it's the AI doing this neutrally. So there's no human involved in the actual checking process, right? So it's all AI, all the way AI, and then you get it back, right? So we expected journalists to come in. We'll show them the platform. We'll show them how to use it. And we also set up the AI. So every week, once they sign up proactively, it will send them a list of all of the deep fakes and stuff that were published the last week. So they can also put that out for Gambians.
So will the center protect freedom of speech, you know, while tracking misinformation?
That's the problem. I think tracking here is confusing a lot of people, right? Like I said, it's not an active system that goes out there and decides what's true or not. It's a passive system. So it doesn't track, it verifies, So tracking is censorship.
Yeah, go on.
But verifying is a service that you're giving out to people. They can choose to use it, they cannot. And if you go there, it gives you something. Again, it's up to you. You can decide, okay, I don't want to.
I don't want it
because
it doesn't tally with what I want to put.
What I said. So we designed it very carefully.
So we just want to make sure the information is protected.
That's it. We just want to verify that the information. So like I said at the beginning, so we can all start from the same foundation of truth, and then anyone vote for whoever or make whatever decisions you want. Yes.
So public education. How are we educating the public?
Yeah. So this is one of the ways. I've also been going around the media, and we will also be doing videos. Like
you mentioned the videos,
in all the local languages. So we'll provide that to you guys. We hope you.
I was about to ask you.
Yes, put that out as a public service.
Sure.
Yeah. So we'll give that all, and we're treating all newspapers and news sources as neutral, as independent, as equal.
Sure.
So there's no, okay, this one supports the government more, let's give them more boosting. So even the ones that supposedly support the government, if they put out misinformation, it will detect it. So it's completely fair to everybody.
So the question everybody's asking, when will it be launched? Because
we'll be launching this Saturday.
This Saturday.
Yes, so Saturday morning we'll be launching the hotline. Since ECOWAS sponsored it, the ECOWAS president will be in attendance. Yes, and so the idea is that once we start this in Gambia, outside they can also copy it, because this is a nationwide problem. But again, I want to come back to the fact that we started this meaning it to be a collaboration between government and the people who use the internet, and also the CSOs and the journalists. So we have been insisting on that from the beginning. Like I said, it's election year, so government, any government will be trying to hide things, all of that. But we actually invited them. So that door is still open. They can just give us a call, and then you can come in. We'll lead you through the whole system. Secondly, the architecture of the system itself was built up to international standard and is also available to the public on request. So if you want to get it, you can look through, you can see how we built all of the components. Thirdly, the AI doesn't just say yes or no when you ask it a question. What it does is it goes through all the sources, it tries to find sources for it to verify or not verify it, and then it will send you back a response, but in the response it includes its chain of evidence. So there's nothing hidden there. You can look at it, you can actually go and do what the AI did manually and check it. And then I mentioned the audit trail as well. So we have multiple levels of oversight and also anti-censorship built in. And then finally, these anti-censorship measures that I'm talking about, they're implemented digitally in the AI. So it doesn't matter whether the government promises something or doesn't promise, whether, even if we have a government that's adversarial, if they come in, the only thing they can do to affect the running of the system is shut it down. But they cannot change it in any way to favor them.
Well, quite very interesting.
It's good, and as you said, AI is changing our lives. And as I was driving in this morning, I heard a news item saying that Google was going to be spending $18 billion in Australia just on AI, and that they were going to be over time, 5 years or so, employing. It said, I didn't believe the figure, but it said 1 million Australians in the AI.
No, it will happen.
That's a lot of people.
It will happen because there's a lot of new jobs also.
That will be created because it will take away some jobs, but it will create others.
That's exactly that's how it works. But we can't just concentrate on the benefits. There's also a lot of dangers. So this is what this is. It's not tied to any political considerations. It's not tied to any political narratives going on right now. It's a center. It's a fact-checking center. It does that and it does that.
So we've been going in this direction. We've got freedom, access to information now. Although people are still struggling with that. But you address the thing about funding, because that was my concern. That and so is it that ECOWAS, because obviously if it succeeds here as a kind of pilot, it could be rolled out to every ECOWAS.
No, they actually said that in their response letter. They said this would be a great way, which made me even more excited, because in Gambia, at the front of AI, just the international headlines, it's a beautiful.
I think that's why Dr. Cisse is so excited about it. In fact, he's on one of the newspapers today talking about it.
I think it's so. I think let's just be fair and take it at face value. And start with it from a position of trust. If we somehow squander that trust, then you can go out. We want feedback. We don't see people talking about this center or criticizing it as a problem. That's built in. That's what we expect. This is a national platform, so every Gambian has a say in how it should run and stuff. So we are not defensive at all about this. We want everything. And speak in whatever tone you want. We know people speak differently, some are angry, some are, but we will concentrate on the substance, and we will provide you with all the information you need to satisfy yourself that this is.
So at the launch, it will take place where?
The Sadauda Kairaba Jawara Conference Center, yes.
They're going to be very
And it's going to be on Saturday, right?
On Saturday, yes.
At what
You
time?
guys will be there, right? To cover it?
I'm emceeing another event at the same venue.
Okay, but you'll send your
but
people.
we will be there, of course,
to?
because this is something we very much want to.
Or you can send the
to
cameras back and forth.
Well,
Just
this is
capture me when I'm talking. That's the important.
So at what time is that your event starting?
8:30 is registration, and then we'll go just until around 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Gay,
Amran
for coming
Thank
on
you.
the program.
And we've learned a lot.
And we hope and pray this will be a success.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
So viewers, we'll be right back after the break. This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. We are back after the break. Now let's head to the last segment of this program. We have the 30th anniversary of Cuban Medical Brigade in the Gambia. And you are welcome. We have the ambassador of Cuba to the Gambia and Dr. Ahmed Guterres, General Surgeon to the Gambia. So it's good to have you, Doctor and Honorable Ambassador. Yes, let's start with the
Ambassador Camelina Ramirez Rodriguez.
Yes.
Welcome
Oh,
to
you
the
speak
program.
Cuban.
Welcome to the program.
Mr. Ade, you never cease to amaze me.
Yes, but we were talking earlier, and I said it's both English language day and Spanish language day, but I know habla español, so we will speak English. But welcome to the program.
Thank
and,
you.
And on a more serious note, Cuba has always had a very good relationship with the Gambia, and we're now commemorating 30th anniversary of the Cuban Medical Brigade in the Gambia. So, Ambassador, welcome to the program. And just tell us about some, we'll get to Dr. Guterres, he's no stranger to us, about this relationship over these years between the Gambia and Cuba.
Thank you for inviting us. It's really glad for that to talk to the Gambian people about our relationship, because already we have 47 years. So since 1979, we established our relationship, and we have along this long period a very good relationship. Even so, Gambia was not one of the countries that was closer to Cuba, like, for example, Bissau, even Guinea-Conakry. But our relationship has been very close. And when I arrived a year ago here, so I was thinking, when I see people, I was thinking, so we are the same people.
We're the same people. Yeah,
we are the same people.
Of course.
When I walk, I found people that remind me some people that I know in Cuba. So that we have the same origin.
Of course.
And even in Cuba, we have a phrase about a Mandinga man.
Yes.
Because the Mandinga was the most brave people, and was the people that promote the beginning of rebellion against colonialism. And they have created, they used to run away from the places of sugar production. They used to run away and create in the rural area, in the mountain, a place that they call freedom place. So for us, the Mandinga, when you talk to Cuban, the Mandinga, people know about Mandinga. About those people that came from Africa, maybe they don't know the detail. So we are the same people. We are the same people. We have 47 years of relationship. And in 1996, we started this very, can I say, people-to-people relationship with the Cuban doctors. The former president, Yamé, he came to Cuba requesting for help. Because of the situation of the health system in Gambia, and they needed help urgently. The first idea was to bring the doctors. 39 doctors came, And they started from the beginning to create, particularly in the rural area.
Yes.
If you ask me which is the biggest impact, so it's to give access to everybody to the health services.
Sure.
That one is one of the results that I see. Then we are talking about how we were expanding, because from the 39 people that arrived in 1996, already in 1999 we have 100 people, 158 people.
Yeah. From 96?
Yes.
From 96 to 1999.
Okay.
So we have already 150 people, more than that, including the training people, the lecturer. Because what Fidel was thinking, because always we say we have to mention Fidel about this cooperation.
I have so much respect for him.
Yeah, because Fidel, I mentioned at the beginning, we were not very close, with the relationship. But Fidel say we need help. That one is the biggest contribution of our international cooperation. So we don't put any condition, we don't make any request. If we have the facility, in his concept of revolution, he said that we need to create conditions for our development and at the same time to help people to develop. And that one is can I say the motto? Is the motto? The motto of our cooperation, how to contribute to help people. Is also a way to pay our debt to Africa, because many people went to that side in different conditions, living from the Kunta Kinte village to that side of the world for hard work as a slave. And that one is the root of the Cuban nation, the mixture between the Spaniards' roots and the African roots. But that's what you see here.
Yes, indeed.
The two examples.
Thank you.
But that one make us very united.
So let's engage Doctor. I mean, Dr. Gutierrez. It's good to have you. You know, I was one of the students that wanted to do medicine. You know, during my high school days, I did science. You understand? And most of my colleagues went to study in Venezuela, and some of them are medical doctors. And here I am sitting as a presenter, you know.
And they want to be presenters now.
I don't know the doctor. So let's talk about the specialities covered by the Cuban doctors in the Gambia.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation here. Yes, we have partners also. I have colleagues that are working nowadays with me in the same service, in the same department in the hospital, that are from your year of the career. Maybe Dr. Saidi is he studied in Venezuela, for example, and nowadays a consultant of general surgeon. Yes, the different the Cuban medical team nowadays we are covering a high grade of specialties. Even not in Banjul, we have some specialties in Bansan, Farafeni, Biam, Soma. We have Base also, we have doctors there. We have a general surgeon, I am a general surgeon. We have gynecologists, we have dermatologists, psychiatrists, doctors, general doctor, comprehensive also, family medicine they call here. Also, we have physicians, internal medicine doctors. We have technicians in laboratory, also in biomedicals. So we cover a high spectrum of important specialties for the Gambian health system.
Now, in spite of the American embargo, which has been there ever since, everybody knows, if they know one or two things about Cuba, if it's not about cigars, it's about the health system and how strong it is. But in spite of all of that, Cuba has still sent out these brigades to various countries that need it. How has it been possible to sustain that over this number of years?
Even though the sanction is...
Yes. It's the issue is that the key word of that is solidarity. Okay, we know that we are not giving to the world what we have too much. No, we are giving we are sharing with the world what we have. Yes, we are living a hard embargo. We are living nowadays a very hard embargo for our people. and it's not fair.
Yeah.
But anyway, we don't stop about that. We don't stop with that. We continue because the work continue,
sure.
and we need to continue with them. And the life and our support to other countries also. We receive solidarity. We have that solidarity with the world because we receive that solidarity also. That I think that if that work is more present nowadays, this work is going to be a best work.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Honorable
Let
Ambassador,
me want to add to something to that. So, with the issue of the embargo, that make us to overcome the difficulties.
Sure.
Yeah. So, one of the idea is that we put half of our budget, the national budget, to education and to health.
Yeah, yeah.
And when the revolution triumphed in 1959, we had about 6,000 doctors. Yeah. For 6 million people.
Yeah.
Now we have more than 70,000 Cuban doctors for about 10 millions of the population. That one was an objective, to create. But that's why when I mentioned before, develop ourselves with our capacity. So the embargo have made us a lot of damage. A lot of damage, particularly in this moment.
Yeah, of course.
In this moment, the sanctions growing up.
So, Her Excellency, how will you gauge the success of the medical brigade over the years in the Gambia?
But in the Gambia, because first, the high appreciation of the population to our effort. Because people come here leaving behind the family, leaving the children, they come to work and to contribute. So the high appreciation of the Gambian people and the Gambian government, because has been a cooperation that has been protected in spite everything. So we came here and people, when you go and the street, people ask, "Are you doctor?" I say, "I'm a Cuban." I say, "Are you doctor?" I say, no, I'm not a doctor.
Not every
What are you, nurse? No, I'm not a nurse. Finally, I say, "An ambassador." You are ambassador. But people relate Cuba to the Cuban doctors. Because people here are very, very grateful of the contribution. When a doctor saves a life of a child, so people say, I can say, not worth to say thank you to the doctor.
So how do you adapt to the cultural structure of the Gambia? Because we have Cuban doctors as far as Basse. If you go to the Basse clinic, you meet them there. So how do you adapt to this cultural structure?
It's not difficult. In Cuba, we have one phrase that said that if you don't come from a Congo, you come from Carabalí. Means that the African culture is in our blood. Okay, if you see our skin, even if you are white, a clear white, your blood have African blood.
True.
So yes, it's true. Even in our country, we have words that come from here. Fula. It's a word that also we use there.
Okay.
How our ambassador said before, Mandinga, we know who are the Mandingas. Okay. So for us, the culture is very familiar. So it's not difficult. Even the weather here is similar. Maybe just a little bit dry than there, but we are tropical, so it's not difficult to make the adapt to this culture. Religions, okay, we have also in less quantity, but also we have Muslim. Here you have Christians, Catholics, in less quantity than there, but it's just the same. We are people, and we just talk. We know each other, and after everything is fine.
So if I can come to you, Dr. Gutierrez, before you came to the Gambia, how much did you know about the Gambia? They tell you, Dr. Gutierrez, you're going to the Gambia next week. You did some research. Were there any things that surprised you, good and bad?
I have maybe with another doctors, we have to ask them if was a surprise. in person for me was not a surprise because I come from the same hospital that some doctors was here before.
Ah, okay.
So yes,
they told you about
exactly.
what
So
to
for example, before me was Dr. Tony. He's also a general surgeon.
Okay.
We work together in the same hospital.
Right.
And when I say, okay, I'm going to Gambia for the Cuban Medical Brigade. Okay, no, you have to go this. Also, Dr. Claudio he was a professor here, also a general surgeon consultant, and they work together with the Minister of Health, Dr. Samate. They work together even in the Edward Francis. And they told me, no, Dr. Ahmed, no, you have to go here, okay, the things are there, are like this, the work is like this, it's going to function like this. So I just have the proper information because surprise here, I really don't have any surprise. Okay. The most surprise thing here was the people, how the people treat you. When I worked, the first time I started working in Farafeni. Okay. And I said, when I was working the first day, someone told me, Doctor, Cuban. How do you know? How do you know? How do you know that I'm a Cuban doctor?
Yes.
That's I realized that. I say it's 30
so,
years.
you know, most of the time in the Gambia, you attribute Cubans to medical.
Thing.
You know, when I was much younger, if you go to Banjul Polyclinic, you know, my mom will take me there. And when she comes back there, I met the Cuban doctor.
Yeah, okay.
You understand? So when you see Cubans, the mental picture that you have is medical, you know.
So we're saying the 30 years of the brigade. So each batch that comes, what is the duration for which they are deployed?
Yes, for
the medical.
Yes, for the medical.
Is it for a specified number of months, weeks?
This depends of the country.
The host country.
Yes.
Ah, okay, right.
It depends of the host country. It's not the same in everywhere.
Okay.
For example, here is the routine is most 3 years that you spend here. Okay. But depend of the needs of the country. You can spend more or less depending of that.
Okay. All right. So is there also a training for local doctors in the Gambia?
Yeah. Let me also I wanted to that question that you make it about how they know
about the country that they're going to. Yes.
No, because our relation with Africa is very close.
Sure.
So the students, many of the African students that have in our university. So make that exactly, and a lot of people that before us went to Africa also. Sure. So that the information about Africa is normal. It's not, so you can say maybe difference between Angola, that is the most new. People know better about Angola, about Ethiopia, But Bissau is also very close to us. Cape Verde also is very close. That when you arrive here, so you have a general idea what you will find. And relating, what was the question?
The training.
The training of the students here. Yeah, so the School of Medicine that was opened in 1999. Already now we'll have 25 years. And many. We were before thinking, we can't say an exact figure, how many people already was training at the University of Gambia by the Cuban lecturer. Nowadays we have 11 lecturers there, permanently.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this partnership, it's been here for a long time.
47 years.
Yes, for a long 47 years. I wasn't born.
You wasn't born, you see.
When the partnership started.
What keeps this relation so strong?
Solidarity.
What keeps it so strong?
The solidarity and the friendship, the respect. Because that one is a mutual respect. It's the base of our cooperation and our relationship. I have to say that the government of Gambia, always has supported Cuba in international arena.
Right. Yes. Indeed. Yes.
So you see here the practical, that is a Cuban doctor.
Sure.
But sometimes people don't know because people don't make a follow-up of the international issues. But the government of Gambia always has been together with Cuba. Supporting Cuba in our fight against blockade, always Gambia. está en her hands condemning.
And I think appreciation also for the work that Cuban doctors do, because we've known that we've always had challenges in our health system in terms of the number of doctors. You know, even small Gambia, we train doctors, we train nurses, and a lot of them end up going abroad. I know when I was in the UK, I met so many Gambian doctors and nurses who were working there. So that appreciation for the fact that Cuba is kind of stepping in, the reason we want and need it is because there is a need. And Cuba has always been, they're not just talking about it, they're doing it. And you use the word practical. And I think that's the thing. This is a practical demonstration. It's not a theoretical one.
Exactly.
You send people here at a time of need.
What people see and what people touch.
That's right. And people are
touch.
appreciative of that. And you know, we really, you said, somebody said words are not enough if you save the life of a child. I'm telling you, for the Gambia and what you've done, you know, there are no words.
Absolutely.
That can thank Cuba for what Cuba has done over the course of these years. Absolutely no words.
So, Her Excellency, apart from medical, do we have any intention to expand in other areas?
Yes, we are trying, but both countries, we are a small country with a small economy. We are trying to expand our commercial relation. Okay. But it's difficult because of the possibility that we have, both of us. For example, Gambia produces a lot of fish. It's one thing that we like it. Right. And in that side, there is not the same quantity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though you're an island nation.
Yeah, we are island, but the quantity, the quantity of fishing is not the same. Here, there is more. There is more that we could. But the cheap and the how to transport. It's difficult.
Okay.
Also, we are trying because we have some development in biotechnology, medicament from biotechnology. So we are trying to introduce, but also not easy. Not easy. Here you suffer a lot of diabetic food.
Yes, quite.
Yes. And we have a very good medicament that you don't need to cut.
Right.
Because sometimes people need to cut. With treatment, you can't save people. And we are working on that, how to doing some commerce and trading between Gambia and Cuba. And also in agriculture, even before we had cooperation in agriculture, the control of the seeds, to how to improve it, the seeds and the create also training capacity.
My plea, which is he kind of plucked out of my head, was on a kind of selfish note. I know that Cuba is very good at sports, athletics particularly. Boxing, Cuba is one of the best in terms of training. And I just wondered whether in the same way that you have doctors, you could have, you know, boxing coaches and athletics coaches, because really Cuba is just, you know, unbelievable in
you are right. You are right. We have an agreement in the sport field that we didn't put in place yet. We would like to implement, because that one is a big possibility for the training. But as I said, sometimes our difficulties, or sometimes the idea what is more important in this moment. But we have that possibility to open for a sport.
I would love that.
We are open. We are open. Since I arrived, I'm knocking different doors, saying, so we are here, we can make this one, or we can make this one. And it's an opportunity of increasing the exchanges people to people.
Yeah, so thank you, Doctor, for coming. Thank you, Her Excellency. And, you know, we hope you know, there'll be more engagement in the future. And we would definitely love your embassy here to at least engage the media time to time on some of your activities.
Oh, they do.
Yes, and we have our head of news department here. And our show is also open. Anytime you want to come on this program, just contact us and we will give you the platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was very nice, and also we highly appreciate your interest and your support of Cuba.
Thank you for coming.
So viewers, this is all we have for today. We will be back here next week on the same platform. And Mr. Adirame, thank you for co-hosting Throughout this week, is it throughout?
For most of this week.
Most of this week.
Yes, most of
this week. So viewers, until then, do have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.